From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mary Engish, sitting in for Mitch Wortley. It's Wednesday, July 30th, and here are today's headlines. The state of Vermont has filed its 26th lawsuit to block actions taken by the Trump administration. The latest suit seeks to overturn a provision in the recently passed One Big Beautiful Bill Act that eliminates Medicaid funding for many preventative health care services that Planned Parenthood provides. There's already another lawsuit challenging the same provision. This week, a judge ruled the administration has to continue reimbursing Planned Parenthood for Medicaid services while the legal battle continues. Attorney General Charity Clark notes that no Medicaid funds are used to pay for abortion services, and that the effort to, quote, defund other essential programs is unconstitutional.
Planned Parenthood has been targeted for their speech, and their advocacy for abortion rights has led them to be a target by the Trump administration and, some of the members of Congress.
Clark says the loss of Medicaid funds at Vermont Planned Parenthood centers will especially hurt people with low incomes and in rural areas. Vermont just completed its first full fiscal year of online sports betting, and the Department of Liquor and Lottery's annual sports betting report contains some surprising trends. It found people bet more than $200 million in the past 12 months. There are about 23,000 active users, and Vermonters account for a little more than half of them. Basketball was the number one sport for wagers, with football in second place. Lottery Commissioner Wendy Knight says the state is on track to receive just over $6 million in new revenue, and she says tourism has become an important factor.
That's been the most interesting development, is to see out-of-state bettors are placing more bets, in-state bettors are placing fewer bets.
Calls to the state's problem gambling hotline have remained relatively stable, but officials say it often takes between 18 to 24 months before increases are seen. The city of South Burlington has hired a new police chief. William Breaux will start the job on October 6th. He comes to South Burlington from Dover, New Hampshire, where he'd been the police chief since 2018. Acting Chief Sean Briscoe will return to his role as deputy chief when Breaux starts this fall, the city said in a press release. South Burlington's previous police chief, Sean Burke, left the department to serve as interim chief in Burlington. Biologists with the state are reopening popular cliffside hiking and rock climbing spots that were closed to protect nesting peregrine falcons. Each year, trails and climbing routes at cliffs across the state are closed to hikers and climbers from spring to August to protect falcon chicks. Closures include Upper West Cliff in Bolton Notch, Deer Leap in Bristol, and the Upper Dummerston Quarry. Biologists with Vermont Fish and Wildlife say peregrine falcon chicks have largely fledged from their cliffside nests, and the cliffs are open again to recreation. The department monitored at least 40 nesting pairs this summer. They say it was a good year for chicks. The birds were removed from Vermont's endangered species list in 2005, and their recovery continues. Coming up, the Vermont Agency of Education hired a man who'd been ordered to pay millions for filming teens undressing. Vermont Public's Liam Elder-Connors breaks the story down after this break.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency, where support comes from Alpine Telehealth, offering telepsychiatry solutions for Vermont hospital, community mental health, and primary care. Physician-owned and operated since 2018. Learn more at alpinetelehealth.com.
A recent hire by the Vermont Agency of Education had previously been ordered to pay millions for secretly filming two teenage girls in a changing room. The agency says it was unaware of Bill Simmons' conduct when he was hired in December. Simmons had been investigated by Burlington police, but never faced any criminal charges because the statute of limitations had passed. And last year, a jury in a civil lawsuit ordered Simmons to pay the women millions of dollars for invading their privacy and causing severe emotional distress. I spoke with Vermont Public's Liam Elder-Connors about the situation. Can we begin, Liam, with when the Agency of Education found out about Simmons' conduct?
Sure. So according to an agency spokesperson, they didn't know about Simmons' conduct until a Vermont Supreme Court ruling in June. A spokesperson says once they learned of the situation, they took immediate steps, including a due process review. And then Simmons resigned from the department on July 14th. Is
there any indication of any inappropriate conduct by Simmons while he was at the Agency of Education?
No, there's not. A spokesperson says he did work in schools, including doing some filming in schools, but the spokesperson says that the agency is not aware of any inappropriate footage and said it will alert individual schools if there's any cause for concern. The agency says that Vermont State Police are also reviewing all of Simmons' state-issued devices.
Well, why wasn't the agency aware of the investigation into Simmons or this jury verdict that found that he'd filmed these women changing?
Well, the agency didn't conduct a criminal background check. That's not part of the standard hiring procedure. People can self-report their criminal history from the past decade, according to a spokesperson. But remember, Simmons never faced any criminal charges for his conduct. The only case that had been filed was a civil case, and there was a jury verdict that says that he had invaded these women's privacy. But again, that's a civil case, so it's unlikely that they would have seen that in a criminal background check. Now, the AOE Secretary Zoe Saunders said in a staff email last week that the agency is working to strengthen its policies to prevent situations like this in the future.
Police did open a criminal investigation, right? What happened in that case?
So police started looking into this in 2018 when a woman came to them and said she'd found a video of herself and her sister that was online. A friend of a friend had sent it to them, and it showed them changing in a dressing room area. The video was recorded in 2012 during a video shoot that Simmons had recruited them to participate in. So the police investigated and ended up finding evidence, including the cameras that were used and footage of Simmons installing the camera in the changing area. That's all documented in a police report that I read through. But they couldn't file any charges because the statute of limitations is only 3 years, and they were investigating this many years later, so they couldn't bring any charges. I talked to Tom Chinette during this, and he's a recently retired Burlington police detective who worked on the case. And he says this really highlighted for him how Vermont's statute of limitations laws around cyber crimes might be a little antiquated.
Once an image or a video is online, it never goes away. It's copied, it's reproduced, and even this video continues to pop up on the internet.
Now, I should note that defense attorneys will often say that outlier cases can make bad laws and that there's some good reasons to have statute of limitations. Like, it's important to preserve a defendant's rights during criminal proceedings, and it's good to have crimes charged closer to when they were allegedly happening because it can lead to better evidence which could corroborate or exonerate a defendant.
One more question for you, Liam. Were you able to talk to Simmons, and what was his response to this?
I did. In a brief phone call, Simmons declined to comment. Later, he issued a statement through his attorney, and Simmons' attorney said in the written statement that Simmons, quote, greatly regrets his actions and the harm he caused.
That's Vermont Public's Liam Elder Connors. You can read that full story at vermontpublic.org. Liam, thanks.
You bet.
And that was Vermont Public's Liam Elder Connors. Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Bob Kinzel and Abigail Giles. Today's episode was edited by Stephanie Colombini, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mary Engish. Talk to you tomorrow.